Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Williams. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is, at Egberto Williams. Let us engage. It is politics done right.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Williams, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today. Is it time to panic yet? Answer me. Let me hear it. Is it time to panic yet? Well, you're going to determine that. You're going to tell me if you're panicking yet. As far as I'm concerned, I never panic. However, let me just tell you straight up. Let's see how to put this as nicely as I can. The Democratic Party has dropped the ball. The activists they've been trying to pull it together all year. But the party continues to drop the ball on a national scale, on a Texas scale. I can't tell for other states that I haven't visited or that I'm not in because, of course, I don't know what they've done localized or on the micro level, but on the national level, they failed, and it is going to be up to geometric progression of what we do, meaning you, every single individual American of constant, of good thoughts, of good thinking, of appropriate thinking, that's going to make the difference. In other words, you telling person X, Y, and Z and sort of teaching persons X, Y, and Z how each of them should speak to their persons X, Y, Z, and so forth. Geometric progression is powerful. What it means is that one person can start a chain reaction that expands pretty darn fast. And I think it's grassroots, but it's deeper. And I think it's something that we have to be working on because as it is, the narrative that we've allowed, I wrote an article at Daily Kos a while back. And in that article, again, I got torn to shreds again because I was too pessimistic, because I wasn't reading the polls. That's what they said. Because polls are instant in time. And for me, it's not about reading the polls. For me, it's about knowing the reality of how people think, the reality of how campaigns work. And in as much as we all pretty much know that Brother Trump doesn't have a lot upstairs from an intellectual point of view, from a scientific point of view, there's one thing this guy knows very well. And he knows and he knows how to get to people. He knows how to touch people. He knows how to have people be scared. He knows all of that. And we dismiss that at our own peril. We dismiss that he knows these things at our own peril. And right now, they have orchestrated some great things. I call it the 3 October surprises. Because normally you talk about one October surprise that just catches you and it shocks you. But now we are beyond one October surprise. Folks, if you're just joining us, please go ahead and share these programs. You know that is what we ask you to do in order for others to be able to see this. Our green screen is down, so bear with just that blank green screen and nothing much on the background, but our green screen is down. Look, we have to realize one important thing. It is no accident that the Republican Party is fearful of bucking Trump. Or I shouldn't say fearful. It is no accident that the Republican Party is not bucking Trump. They're not bucking Trump because pretty much Trump is serving the interests of those who matter to them. Trump is serving the interests of the plutocracy. Trump is serving the interests of the wealthy. Trump, and you know what? It's not only the wealthy Republicans that he's serving the interests of. He's also serving the interests of the Democratic Party establishment. So they can talk about him, but the reality is, do they really buck him? When Donald Trump comes out and says certain things as the president of the United States, who is the person that should be bucking the president of the United States? Who is the person nationally that should be out there punch for punch for punch for punch with the president? Let me remind you about what occurred under President Obama. When Obama was in office, when President Obama was in office, Mitch McConnell was always there. Mitch McConnell was always there to buck President Obama. Paul Ryan was always there to buck President Obama, to be the counterweight to President Obama, to bring the Republican mantra against anything the president was doing that they deemed wrong, which in their case was mostly everything. But in the case of the Democrats, how many times have you seen the maximal leaders of the Democratic Party out there pound for pound, punch for punch, going against this president or coming out and speaking against this president, except for every now and then a press op for a few minutes? How many times? It is urgent now, I mean, it's 14 days out from the election, that the powers of the party be the ones representing or opposing the president. It is incumbent on these folks to be the ones who are calling out every lie that he tells immediately. But they're not. Where are they? Why aren't the leaders of the party, the big guns, out? Why do they leave it to the average congressman to come out and speak on behalf of the Democratic Party? Why is it that Nancy Pelosi is not out there every single time? Now, some folks are going to say, well, if Nancy Pelosi comes out, she's going to draw the ire of the right, because what's going to happen is that, they always use her as a punching bag. Bull. They always use President Trump as a punching bag, and he's out there. They always use McConnell as a punching bag, and he's out there. They always use, everybody's used as a punching bag. Everybody's the icon of what's wrong. The left uses Donald Trump as an icon of what's wrong, and he's not scared to go out there and talk. He's not scared to go out there and lie. So why is it power for power? The highest ranking Democrat, shouldn't that be the person bucking 24/7 on TV, going to the studios? We need to speak up, and I bet the studios will take him. But you know what? The policies of Trump is also the policies of the wealthy Democrats. I hate to be saying that now. Progressives, you have to go out there and vote. Yes, straight line Democratic ticket, but remember, progressives, your job's just starting, because there's a whole lot of weeding out that has to be done subsequent to this election. Subsequent to this election, there's a lot of weeding out, because you don't commit malpractice of this type. You do not commit malpractice of this type on an election that should be won not with a wave, but with a tsunami, and it looks like right now it's pretty darn dubious because of the tripleta. What is the tripleta? The triple play. The triple play that Trump has come up with. And you know what? By the way, Every single item in this triple play was prognosticated. I mean, I wrote about what he was going to do about the stock market. I wrote about what he was going to do about Russia. Well, tacitly, I wasn't exact about Russia because the one thing I didn't expect. But anyhow, what I want to do right now is start the program with what the title of the program is. The title of the program today is The October Surprise is Here, and it is not what you think. The October surprise is here, and it's not what you think. And the subtitle is, normally, you would expect an October surprise by now. Well, it came disguised. Instead of singular, we got 3 October surprises. We better counteract them now before it's too late. And we've got 14 days. And remember that early voting has already started. And what occurs in early vote is already cauterized. It's already fixed. So we can't wait for poll numbers to move and figure out where they are to see what's going to happen on election day. We have to be driving folks of like minds to the polls. First and foremost, and when we're done driving them to the polls and taking them to the polls and advising them to go to the polls and advising them to vote, pull that Democratic ticket, straight ticket all the way, after that is done, then we drive some more. And then we convince some more. And after we do that, we keep doing it over and over again. And then we start when we have exhausted that, we start reminding those other folks that their Social Security is not at risk, will be used to pay for the tax cut that has already occurred. That he's not talking about. He's not talking about the tax cut that he passed. Why not? Because most people got zilch. So he can't talk about it. So what is he talking about? That's one of the October surprises. Well, actually, that's not that's not one of the October surprises. That's just the lie. So, anyhow, and I've been working on trying to get some of the screen problems that we had taken care of. So I wasn't able to completely write the blog of the week. So I wrote some of it, not most of it, just some of it. And the rest I'm going to have to just pull it out of the air as I read it and talk to each of the different October surprises. Because as it turns out, I didn't have the time to sit down and put the pen to the paper and get all the links to validate the things that I'm saying. But, I'll get that taken care of subsequently. I'll definitely get that taken care of subsequently. Anyhow, here we go. We are at T minus not enough time right now. T minus not enough time right now. What does that mean? Donald Trump and his cabal are lying their butts off to scare Americans into voting for them by attempting to define Democrats as militarily weak, open border supporting, and economy busting. And he created not one October surprise, but 3 October surprises that drives a new cycle. The mainstream media is buying it all up, covering it as if it's real news. So what are these 3 surprises? The one thing about this is when it's disguised, it's not quite like, bam, we found out that Donald Trump, that there's evidence that he really raped the women that claim he raped them. So we have the evidence now. That would be an October surprise, right? But his is a little bit better because his October surprise continuously take on the news, take on the actual events. But worse than that, his October surprise would give the semblance of having a material impact on you. And because his October surprise will have a material impact on you, you listen keenly, and it may actually, for those who believe it, change their vote. That doesn't only mean Republicans. That could also mean independents, Democrats, and all the folks in between. My dear brothers and sisters, it's all a scam. And the thing about it is there's no pushback from the leaders of the Democratic Party. There is no Al Schumer out there bucking the president as the highest ranking Democrat in Congress, in the Senate. There's no Nancy Pelosi as the highest ranking House rep. And then they're going to say, well, we can't put them out because then they become targets. Trump is a target. Pelosi is a target. Schumer is a target. McConnell is a target. Paul Ryan is a target. The only difference is the targets on the right are not scared to go ahead and defend their point of view and look strong. And the targets on the left just leave it to the grassroots to go out there with the minimal resources they have. As these big wheels collect big dollars, the grassroots is there scramping to win, just to try to pick up a win. While they pay their high-priced consultants to do X, Y, and Z that have been unsuccessful since since Reagan. Only Obama, with the talent that he had, was able to buck it. Think about that. So, folks, here we go. So what are these three surprises? They are Trump's withdrawal from the Intermediate Range Nuclear Force Treaty is number one. And I'll explain that. When I say number one, I don't mean number one in value, but I mean it changes a very important narrative. Second, the supposed caravan of brown people and terrorists and MS-13 coming to storm America. That's number two. And again, these things touch on people, man. When people get scared, they react. And Trump is defining Democrats because Democrats did not spend the time defining Republicans in such a manner that they didn't have time to come up with these lies, but that they had to spend all of their time defending themselves. Instead, it is Democrats trying to defend, no, we don't want open borders. Oh, no. And what we said about Trump and Russia, there's no proof, so, oh my God. And the third, the orchestrated stock market fall used to blame the fear of a blue wave. I don't know if you remember the first time the market crashed this month. I did a video right away and I said, folks, what's coming next is Trump is going to say the stock market fell because of the pending blue wave, and that he would say to try to stop the blue wave from occurring. I have a video about that. I have the video that I did that because I knew that was coming. Yesterday, a Republican operative was in the White House, and what they were told in the White House is that if the stock market started to go down again, they would decide to create a new narrative, and that narrative would be exactly as I said it would be. That the stock market is falling because of an impending blue wave. And for all those people who have some retirement in their 401ks and whatever, what you think they're going to do? Oh my God, if I vote blue, I'm going to lose 20 or 20% of the value of my stocks. A lie, but that's what they're going to say. And so what I said, these 3 October surprises actually create a material impact on voters. Trump's a genius when it comes to fear, putting the fear into people. Can this be successful? Yes. Why? Because as usual, Democrats are allowing Republicans to define them as opposed to them defining Republicans for their fiscal irresponsibility and inhumanity towards the middle class and the poor. So folks, do you know what time it is?
It's time for the weekly blog post.
Okay. The blog post of the week. What did I do here? The blog, and folks, if you're just joining us, I ask you to please share these programs on your Facebook wall, your Tumblr, your Twitter, your Snapchat, everywhere that you can, because the only way we are going to get, remember I talk about geometric progression, the only way we are going to get this message out, it's not going to be through the media, because as you can see, the leaders of the Democratic Party are not out there bucking Trump for all the things that he's saying. They're left to second and third tier politicians, and us, the independent activists, independent journalists, independent hosts, independent radio hosts, media hosts, etc., to go out there and try to push the message. Because I tell you, they are not doing their job. Why aren't they doing their job? I am not sure, but I have a hunch. But let me, before I go to the blog of the week, and I have to do this, I'm so sorry, because again, we're a progressive show, and we have to be funded somehow. We definitely aren't going to get funds from the Democratic Party. So I want to remind folks that this is a call-in show, not only a call-in show, but also a show that tries to make a difference. Not tries, we do make a difference. There are several of us that are trying to do this. It's a consortium of us that are trying to do this. Now, what I want to ask you, or if you're just joining us, please remember to go to patreon.com/politicsdoneright. Patreon.com/politicsdoneright. And support independent media. In this case, you'll be supporting Politics Done Right. I mean, myself, I support dailycoast.com, the democraticunderground.com, coffeepartyusa.com, kpft.org, opednews.com, and many other small donors, small donation sites, subscriber sites I subscribe to. Little monthlies I give to these guys every single month. Why? Because unless we support the independent medias out there that are getting the message out that our mainstream media refuse to do and that our politicians refuse to do, we're going nowhere. We have to grow this movement. We have to grow the independent media movement. As a thank you for doing that, the next book that I'm writing is called How to Make America Utopia. I've already written the first chapter, a small chapter thus far, the introduction. I'll be writing, the second chapter should be out in, I don't know, probably 10 days or so. I was in Washington, D.C., so kind of slowed down the writing of that chapter. Anybody who subscribe will get the book when it's released. But as I write chapters, I'll have the chapters online for you to actually see as it is written. That's the little gimme that I'm trying to do to encourage you to subscribe to Politics Done Right. Additionally, we have a group. I have to go make some cleanups because we had some stuff in that's not book related in the group, but we have a group. For those of you who are in the group, you can give us suggestion for the book, and if it makes it into the book, what we will do is, with your permission, of course, we'll cite you, and the book is going to be sold everywhere, so your name will be in the book. But again, that is just sort of an enticement to ask you to please go ahead and subscribe to Politics Done Right. And under certain subscription levels, you, of course, get my book, As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom, the sticker, the Politics Done Right sticker, all that good stuff. So anyhow, I'm going to get back to the blog of the week right now, but I want to ask you to please go ahead and subscribe to Politics Done Right by going to Patreon, patreon.com/Politics Done Right. If you're on Facebook, the link is in the video. But anyhow, here's the deal, folks, and this is important. Title of the blog of the week is, It's Not the Midterm 2018 October Surprise We Expected. There are 3 surprises. This is not a standard midterm election, and if progressives do not win midterm 2018, it will prove that the lies, hate, nativism, nationalism, sexism, xenophobia, misogyny is the way for a minority to scare a majority into supporting the opposition. And in all that list of things, I needed to include homophobia. I don't think I did that, but homophobia should be in that list as well. Like I said, I'm not done writing the blog of the week yet, so I am going to be winging it with what I was going to write in the first place, but that is how it goes here. This is independent media. Okay, let's first tackle a lie that is not an October surprise. I mean, this guy lies many times every day. But this is a lie that reaches some, okay? First, let's tackle this lie. Congress has adjourned, and there is no way to get a tax cut through before the election. But Trump is out there campaigning that before the election, he's going to be giving folks a tax cut. And you know why he has to be telling middle-class America he's giving them a tax cut? You know why he has to do that? Because the tax cut scam that they passed, that they claimed was going to give a little bit of money into the pockets of folks, it really didn't. And we all knew that. We spoke about it. We knew it was a scam. It was a way for wealthy people to get money I think I had said 5 different times. So before I get into the program, I want to remind you, because all of this is when you're done taking the people who are definitely voting straight ticket Democratic, when you have to kind of tease a little bit of folks, like I had a guy I was on KPFT last night on a show on Open Journal on KPFT, and I was explaining these 3 October surprises. And folks, if you're just joining us, please share this on your wall. It is so very important. I was explaining this to the audience at KPFT, where I said there are 3 October surprises, but also we have to remember that people, it's not that people are stupid or people are idiots or whatever. I mean, Trump assumes that they are. But what it is people don't have the time to do all their research or whatever. So what they have to do is go to trusted people, and there are still people who trust Trump. And it's hard to get away from them. So on Open Journal, the night before, I had a black Republican on, and he was convinced. He was able to get away from all the isms of Trump and talk about how great Trump was as an individual and what he's doing. And there are a lot of people that think that way. You know, when a lot of the blame was going to, yes, white women went ahead and voted for Donald Trump, in as much as he's a misogynist or whatever, I reminded a whole lot of folks that, yes, that is true, and there's some historical reasons why these things are occurring, but the people that I draw the most ire from are people who can understand, right? A black man voting for, a white woman voting for Trump is different than a black man voting for Trump. There are experiences that are carnal to one's being, that and this is not a racist statement. This is not about race, but it's about culture. But there is a thing called, in America, the black culture being and the institutionalized damage done to them by the Trumpist types. When 15% of black men, I imagine that included probably a hell of a lot of preachers and religious folks, when that occurs, it has to be called out. Because had that 15% not voted for him, had many of the aggrieved, I don't remember what percent of homosexuals, gay folks that voted for him, in as much as that experience is there, were they allowed ideology to supersede other things? That speaks volumes. So I am not in the blame game to say, the white men and the white women and all of. I'm in the game to say there are different levels of experience that allows one to be able to disregard certain things that one says. As an example, I have a whole lot of guys that I speak to in Starbucks that would say, well, I'm still going to be voting for Trump because I disregard all those things. But for my personal economy, it works. I'm a stockbroker. This is what one told me. I'm a stockbroker. My stocks are going through the roof. Are you asking me to vote against my own interests? And I'm saying, yeah, I'm asking you to vote against your own interests. You have enough. But he had a logical reason that had no emotions attached to it. So do I just call him, racist for voting for Trump? No, I don't call him a racist for voting for Trump. I call him selfish. He's my friend, but he's selfish because he refuses to see the pain that Trump causes onto others as a factor for him not to vote for Trump. But anyhow, so continuing with the lie. President, this is what the Fortune reported about the tax cut that he's promising to happen before the election. President Donald Trump announced a new 10% tax cut would come into effect before the midterms, intended only for the middle class, not for businesses, not for the rich. Just a lie. The guy just simply lies. And there are a whole lot of people that are going to be willing to accept that, unless you really prove to them how it is a lie. Fortune magazine is also trying, but a lot of people are not reading Fortune magazines. A lot of people are not watching Politics Done Right. A lot of people are not, and MSNBC is kind of dancing around it, even though they say, yeah, that can't happen or whatever, but they are not sounding the alarm. A lying president, how can you lie to the American people? It is an outright lie. This is the mainstream media has to be able to say, America, you're being hoodwinked by what this guy is saying. Why? The only trouble is Congress isn't in session. Congressional leaders haven't heard about it. Nothing has been drafted, and Trump seemed to have invented it from whole cloth on October 20th, based on confirmation provided by a White House spokesperson who spoke to CNBC. Just a lie. Has to be called out. But a lot of folks in the suburbs thinking they're going to get a 10% tax cut. It's a middle class tax cut only, but it's not. There's no law. There's nothing. There's absolutely nothing about this that is true. Just a lie pulled out of the air. But low information voters will accept that. Folks, if you're just joining us, please go ahead and share this program. It is so very important that we do so. It is so very important, more than ever again. So, the 3 October surprises, I gave it to you in the preamble. A lot of new people have shown up, so I'll go through them again. So here are the October, I call it, here is the October surprise trio. Withdrawal from the Intermediate Range Nuclear Force Treaty. How is that an October surprise? Well, right now, many Americans are still dubious about the Trump-Russia connection. Nothing has come out definitively that says Donald Trump is a Russian stooge. Nothing has come out. But a lot of people have it in the seeds have been planted. The seeds have been planted, and I have heard even a whole lot of Republicans think that there's some Trump involvement right now. There are still some that I talk to that believe that, and it really have them, with a sour taste in their mouth, and that's a tip over. That along with a tip over will make them vote a straight ticket Republican. That'll do it. But so what does Trump do? He gets permission from Putin. And, when I say I don't have any evidence to that statement I just made, so I always talk about being evidence-based and fact-based. What I'm saying is something that is very simple. And there are certain things that you should be allowed to infer. You could be wrong, but it follows the pattern of inference. As an example, we know that Trump cannot get loans from American banks. We know that Trump constantly is flushed with enough cash flow that generally comes from the sale of assets, meaning real estate, that many times, or the vast majority of the times, goes to Russian oligarchs. We also know that all during the election, planes with Russian oligarchs kind of tailed Donald Trump around. I mean, there were times in different places that Trump landed that we had the oligarchs land in the same place. We also know that during the convention, in the Republican convention, that change in language in the platform about being hard on Russia was changed. So there is a lot of things that we know that for a fact. Now, we also know that Trump has been very hesitant throughout his administration to ever speak up against Putin or ever blame Russia for anything of substance. So, for him to just come out and do something this strong, I'm going to pull out of the medium ballistic missile treaty now, you have to infer that there was a wink, wink, nod, nod from Putin. Something, Putin don't really care about that intermediate missile treaty because, as it turns out, I read an article that says, he's been building these intermediate missiles and he would love somebody to pull them out of the treaty. And you know what? Trump did him a favor. He got out of the treaty. Trump unilaterally pulls out of the treaty. Now Putin can say, okay, he did it. It's not my fault. So whether he may have gotten a wink, wink, nod, or simply gotten permission to leave the treaty. But guess what that does? In the psyche of millions of Americans, they're going to think, again, remember, these are people that are not doing a whole lot of reading. They don't know politics very well. They're smart, but they don't necessarily know all these things. They're going to sit back and say, oh my God, those darn Democrats, just like they were trying to hoodwink Kavanaugh, which wasn't a hoodwink, but you know how we are also allowed that narrative to build because we, as soon as soon as this guy got elected, I want to show you how bad our Democratic narrative is, and then I'll come back to this point. But as soon as Kavanaugh got on the Supreme Court, Donald Trump marches out on national TV, not only national cable TV, but ABC, CBS, NBC, every single station. And Trump goes out and says, he puts his person in place, and he effectively called Dr. Ford a liar and said that Kavanaugh was proven innocent. None of that is true. None of that is true. Was Schumer or Pelosi out there as the highest ranking Democrats to immediately say that's not true? He was not found innocent. In fact, there is still a cloud over him. And how dare you malign Dr. Ford? After they were done with the display with Dr. Ford in Congress, once he got onto the Supreme Court, Dr. Ford was just left alone. There was no defense for Dr. Ford by our leading Democrats after Donald Trump comes out and says Kavanaugh was innocent, and Dr. Ford made up the story. So you have to ask yourself, what the hell is wrong with our narrative? What the hell is wrong with the Democrats keeping on point and keeping things active? So what did Trump do? That was another little thing that all of those who want to believe Trump, they want to believe Trump because he is the president and they voted for him, and they are the ones who normally vote in midterms as well. They want to believe him. So they got a little nugget there. So Kavanaugh was innocent. There goes them damn Democrats again trying to pull one over, which isn't true. But we left the door open. We allowed Trump to define the Democrats. Then we go ahead and we go to coming back to what we're talking about, the nuclear range treaty. What happens now? Oh my God! It is okay now. Trump could not possibly be in hock to the Russians if he goes ahead against the treaty. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. So that's two, right? Kavanaugh, Russians, those Democrats are full of it. Nobody's there to defend it. Nobody is there defending the message other than the progressive. So that is that 1 October surprise that I'm saying. That's a clean-up surprise. Clean the Trump image up surprise. Okay, second surprise. The caravan of brown people coming from Central America, specifically Honduras. Oh, those brown people are coming up there, and deep inside of those brown people, you know, those Middle Easterns kind of brown too. So they can kind of infiltrate into these people and walk thousands of miles to Mexico, through Mexico, and get to the United States and invade us. These people are more than 1,000 miles away, and there's no way all of these folks will make it on foot here. And then you have to ask yourself another question. And I don't hear enough people asking this. I heard one person, Maria Kamau, asked it on MSNBC, and I was like, thank you. This isn't the time of year that you get these types of caravans. These types of caravans usually start in April, goes through the summer, because again, you're in the dry season and you get some good weather that you can walk up, you can get up here easier. You can jump on a train that's coming from the south right up to the north, going through Mexico and all of that kind of stuff. This is not the best time because you don't know what the weather is going to do. How did that get organized? We don't have any proof, but we have to ask the question, how did that caravan get organized just 2-3 weeks before the election? And it looks like it's well organized, well funded. How did that happen? But even so, right? These are people that otherwise likely would have found a way to get here anyway. Whether that caravan was organized or not, these are people who had a reason to leave where they're at. I gave some interesting information on Open Journal yesterday when I was talking to Stephanie and and Dwayne, that what likely is happening, right, is these people were not intended to come yet, but we have to remember that there's a whole lot of business policy and American policy in Central America and South America that creates these what do you call that? Where people that creates these problems. But nobody talks about that here. Anyway, they're coming over here. He now uses America's xenophobia, fear of the unknown, fear that these people are going to come out here and cause harm. By the way, let's remind folks, most people, foreigners in this country, commit much less crime than anywhere else. But October surprise, brown people, 7,000 brown people are marching to America, coming to the borders of Texas, and Democrats want open borders to let them all in. Where's Nancy Pelosi? Where is Chuck Schumer saying that is an absolute lie? First of all, where are these guys creating a counter narrative? Number one, they should at least put into the psyche of Americans that caravan was probably arranged by a Republican operative. They don't have facts about that at all, but given that it's something that normally would not be occurring right now, it is a good possibility based on the nasty politics that have occurred with social media, with creating distractions in the streets and dysfunction in the streets. Remember that. We had a lot in this country, in America, during the election. We had a lot of protests that was arranged from Russia, from a Facebook page. Let's have a meetup here. Wasn't arranged by anybody here. It was just a Facebook page that got a following, and they created a meetup. Is that all too difficult to believe that it's been done? Somebody got paid off in Honduras? I don't think so. But as long as we are putting it out as long as we're doing it truthfully, we think that given this is unusual for this time of year, it is likely that somebody arranged this to be occurring around the election. All we have to be is truthful, but have a narrative, have a counteraction. We're not for open borders. We're not for this. But again, it is unlikely, more than likely, the people who arrange this are the people that want your vote. That is what makes the most sense. And we have, just like they create stories out of the blue, we should be telling stories not out of the blue, but given the logical reason or the inference as to why we're doing it, or why we're saying these things, and we can do it in very short snippets, just like they do what they do in very short snippets. It can be done. But crickets, it takes the independent media that doesn't have the following of the MSNBCs, the CBS, ABCs, that can get Schumer on to tell the narrative. Today we're going to have about 4,000 or 5,000 by the time 5,000 people that we can reach by the time we get this into podcast and vlogcast and online and blog talk radio, etc. 5,000. There may be 30, 40 of us doing this. Do your multiplication. So some like TYT probably will have 100,000. Majority Report may have 15,000. I mean, we are all trying to reach people, right? But it's going to require you to get out there and really be telling the narrative that we're putting out there right now and talking to people about that is so damn important, because the party is not doing it. They are not out there singing what they should be singing. They are not out there fighting. And like I said, the reason they're not out there fighting is, guess what? People are very, very happy with Donald Trump. The rich is very happy with Donald Trump. And guess what? There is a rich Democratic faction that really is Democratic just because they are the left rail to keep us reined in. You know, it's not about parties. It's about socioeconomics. It's not about party, folks. Right now, we have to pull straight Democratic tickets. We need to vote straight Democrat right now. But, come after the election, we have some house cleaning to do. Progressives have some house cleaning to do. Okay, last. So I think you get the picture of about the brown people coming to America and the fear that they're trying to instill on folks, right? They want to make folks believe that if they elect Democrats, Democrats are going to be for open borders, and that caravan that's coming in will just simply be let in, and the nice, beautiful American citizens are going to be in trouble because these other people are going to be coming into our country and they're going to be causing havoc. Of course, these are the people that all these folks have in their homes, cleaning their homes and sweeping their lawn. I mean, and cutting their lawns and painting their homes and ensuring that the prices that they pay for homes are a good quality homes cost a lot less, because that is our labor pool of this kind of work. But when you're scaring people, rationalization isn't the issue. It's about scaring people. And by the way, those people are going to be let in no matter who, some of them are going to be let in no matter who's there, because you know what? We need their labor. Because the kind of work that they do, the average Joe Blow American don't have a clue on how to do it, or they simply don't want to do it. That is the reality. Until we start telling ourselves the truth, we can continuously get manipulated by the Trumps of the world, and they'll continue to manipulate us. Okay, third one, orchestrated stock market fall. Look, the stock market will be crashing. And I spoke about this before, whether it's before the election or after the election, I don't know. I can't read tea leaves. But there's nothing sustaining this there's no reason for this overblown economy other than it being overinflated in all the wrong ways. What do I mean by that? All the money being funneled to the top. And those of you who've heard this before, I'm sorry to repeat this, but a lot of folks have joined that have never heard this before, first-time joiners, etc. There's something called the marginal propensity to consume in economics. And what that means is as follows. If you're poor, you're middle class, and you're barely making ends meet, if you get an influx of new cash, the first thing you do is spend it. You reduce your debt. You go ahead and buy an extra burger. You take your wife for a long outing that was deserved, but you couldn't afford, but somehow you got some extra cash since it wasn't going to be there. You decide to use it for leisure. And when you buy that extra burger, when you go see that extra movie theater is going to sell more popcorn. When they sell more popcorn, they're going to buy more corn. When they buy more corn, the farmer is going to have to produce more corn, and you see how it goes. You buy that extra burger, that McDonald's or whomever has to buy extra bread. If they have to buy extra bread, they have to buy the bread maker has to get extra wheat. If he has to get extra wheat, the miller has to go buy extra wheat to grind, etc., etc., etc. So when you give monies to the bottom, when tax cuts go to the bottom, you get economic activity. Now, if somebody has $1 million, $10 million, and you give them a tax cut, what will that person who has $10 million do with that tax cut that they would not have otherwise done? It's not like they're going to go buy another car. I mean, how many cars can you have? It's not like they're going to go spend a whole lot of money on things that are going to move the economy. They won't. They'll just stash that money, and more than likely, they'll go ahead and say, hey, guess what? The new market is there's a new market opening in Uganda. I'm going to go invest in Uganda. That's the fastest growing state right now in the world. I don't know that's for a fact. I'm just saying that. And I'll go throw my money out overseas somewhere where I can make money, because I can't make money in the United States anymore. Why not? People ain't got money to increase their spending. And then, Trump and those guys like to say, we give tax cuts because when they get the tax cuts, they're going to create more jobs. Why the hell are they going to create more jobs? To create more jobs, they assume that there's demand so that more people are there to make the things that are demanded. In other words, the car company will hire more people if they need to build more cars. But if there's nobody to buy the cars, we won't build more cars, so we won't hire anybody. It is a lie that has been allowed to fester for a long time, forever, since Reagan, that somehow tax cuts are better for society. It's simply a lie. And the mainstream media has been complicit in that lie by allowing that lie to get and take roots. And we have to, that's why we need the independent media. Let me do another quick plug for my subscriptions. Please, folks, go to patreon.com, patreon.com/politics done right, patreon.com/politics done right, and subscribe. We have all levels of subscriptions, and How to Make America Utopia is the new book that I'm writing. As I release chapters for those people who subscribe, as I release chapters, what's going to happen is I'm going to release the chapters online, and you'll be able to see and read the chapters as I write them. I have a group for the How to Make America Utopia group. Those people who join the group or enter the group, if they give me suggestions to add to the book and it makes it into the book, with your permission, of course, I will go ahead and cite you in the book. This book is going to be sold everywhere. So that's my spiel. But please, if you want independent media, if you want to have media that's going to really inform folks, please go ahead and subscribe. Keep us alive. Make sure that we can continue to do what we're doing. It is so very important, because what we're doing is not easy. What we're doing is not, it is absolutely necessary, and we have to be like the other side. They fund lies. Why don't you fund truth? They fund lies. We're asking you to fund truth. This is something that is necessary, and those of us who have put ourselves on the line to do it, what we do need more than anything else is your support, because it ain't easy. It ain't easy, but it is necessary. It is necessary. And I tell you, there are a whole lot of activists out there that have given up a whole lot because of altruism. We know there has to be a better way. And in every society, you have to have those who are willing to step up. In my case, I stepped up after having a software company that did very well. Of course, now what I'm doing is something that is simply altruistic. Anyhow, folks, I'm going to now go to the boards and see what commentary is being made. Bear with me as I try to get to the board. Let's see. We have Senor Vicente Gil and John Carter. Welcome aboard. Michael Rudnin says, stop replying. Let's see. Okay, let's see. Let's see. All right, I need to get to another screen, I guess. Let's go here. Elaine Sleeper, hello. I don't think I've seen you before, Miss Sleeper. Welcome aboard. Let me actually refresh this guy, because that is how I'm going to get to you. And now, folks, you can always call into the show. Here is the number to call into the show. Egberto, 646-716-5812. 646-716-5812. Let's see here. Rudnin, Trump never ends. So what are these three surprises? Well, thank you for putting that out, my friend Michael Rudnin. Fear and hate make conservatives act badly. That's correct. Let's see. What else here? We unlike obstructionists. John Carter, get the Dems elected and move them to the left. That is what we have to do. That is what we have to do. That's what I've been telling folks. Straight ticket, Democratic ticket. That is what we have to do. Straight Democratic ticket. And then after the election, we have a lot of work to do. Okay, since Bernie isn't bucking Donald, is he a coward? That is so interesting that you said that, Lawrence, because Bernie has been bucking. The thing about it is, Bernie doesn't, first of all, I said leaders of the party. He just hasn't been getting the access to TV as others would. Let's see, John Carter, I've lost 15% in the last month because of Trump and the Republican stupid moves on tariffs and taxes. Exactly, John, exactly. But interestingly, they want to blame that drop in your stock as being as the blue wave being responsible for that. It is a shame. Lawrence, his current rant is another scam. Yes, it is. Let's see what else. Michael Rudnin, there's quite a lot of connections between Russian bank and Trump transparency. Yes, I mean, 2 years ago, I wrote an article about a ping that was occurring between a computer on the Trump Tower going to a bank in Russia. So it never got much notice, but I think the special prosecutor is taking a look at that. John Cotter, Nancy and Chuck need to go. We need stronger progressive leaders. You're absolutely right. They both need to go. Pardon to Egberto, annoyed and distracted. I'll catch you next time. Thank you very much for having been here, my friend. But anyhow, we are getting close to the end of the program. So what I want to tell you folks is this. We have a lot of work to do. We have a whole lot of work to do. It is evident that we cannot depend on the party apparatus to get us there. Luckily, we have a lot of great progressives working. The problem with progressives working, the ones that are in the grassroots, is that we don't have command of the airwaves. So therefore, we have to work smart. We have to work using geometric progression. Geometric progression means as we convince others to do what we're asking them to do, the right thing, we have to ask them to do the same thing that we are doing. In other words, if we're going to talk to 50 people and try to convince them that they need to go vote, and not only do they need to go vote, welcome aboard, Travis Lemon, London. Hadn't seen you before either. Other than convincing them that they need to vote as well, what we must do is ask them to be the same thing we are doing. We have to activate them as well. Geometric progression means, check this out. If I get 10 people to vote a particular way, convince them that that is the right way to vote and that they must vote, and each of those 10 people themselves get 10 people, right? Suddenly, I am responsible for 10 people, but those 10 people are responsible for 100. And those 100 people are responsible for 1,000. Those 1,000 people are then responsible for 10,000. And so geometric progression works very fast. We have to do that by asking those not only to go vote the right way, but also to go vote and change how others vote as well. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. I humbly ask you to become a subscriber. Patreon.com/politicsdoneright. patreon.com/politicsdoneright. Let's get out there. I spoke to a Republican just before I got just before I came back to the studio here. And he said, I'm tired of Trump. I said, and how are you going to vote? I don't know. I said, may I suggest that you vote? I'm not asking you to change your party, but I'm asking you for the existential nature of this election. Will you vote? And remember, nobody sees you in that booth when you vote. For the sake of your kids, for the sake of your 401k, will you vote? Will you vote straight ticket Democratic? And he looked at me startled. And he gave me all indications that that is what he's going to do. He gave me all indications that that is what he's going to do. So folks, take all the people of like mind to the polls, get them to vote, ask them to also become fishers of people themselves to do the same. And don't be scared to just go out there and tell your Republican friend, hey, let's not discuss ideology right now. For this particular election, let's do one very important thing. For your 401k, for your kids, vote a straight line Democratic vote. No ideological change. No party change. Do the right thing. Nobody sees you in that booth. And you know what? We can clean up a whole lot of things that need cleaning up. Deep down inside of many, they know something is wrong. They absolutely know something is wrong. Republicans do. They don't want to talk about it. Many are ashamed of it. Many try to make excuses. Many choose to be willfully ignorant. But others just need someone to edge them on. Edge them on. It is okay. Nobody will know. When you vote, it is between you, the voting machine, and your God. Nothing else. So, do your job. We can still pull this stuff through. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you know how I'm going to end this, baby. I am out.
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is politics done right.
1, 2, 3, 4.